Hello everybody, the Lord Root here, and welcome back to another episode of Back to Basics. So normally I would actually be at work right now, but it snowed here, or rather I suppose it's more accurate to say that we've had an ice storm, and here in the south, that means that everything closes down because nobody knows how to drive in this kind of weather. Well, fine enough for me, I suppose. It means that I do get to do a little bit of recording today, and I plan to do exactly that. Let me just go to the contract center here, and I will show you one of the things that we've been putting off. We actually have this one issue here right now to where, if you look at our contracts, we have these visual surveys of Kerbin, and I've been putting this off. We still have another 4 years or so to do it, but I want to get rid of it because it's taking a slot in my contracts, and given the reputation loss, I don't really feel like getting rid of it just yet. Just by canceling out of it, that is. So I've constructed a special kind of plane here. And you might say, well, you're going to the wrong place, Thy Lord Root. You're going to the launch pad. And that is because this is a special plane. And we actually need to unlock some things first. Before we do that, let's just unlock structural wing B. If I can find that. I believe this may be it here. There we go, we should be able to launch it now. Basically the plan is that we're going to launch into a suborbital trajectory. And we're going to put Joeing at the helm, I think. And the idea is going to be then that we will take advantage of the fact that we can achieve high speeds in our suborbital trajectory, and we will move towards this target here, which is on the other half of the planet. I'm going to do Monster's Glory here, and I'm going to bring up my contracts just so I can figure out where we have to be. I believe this is it right here. So the idea is we're going to go to Monster's Glory, then Dalton Sphere, the Zone YMJSG, and then finally turn around and hit Gene's Spine. You'll notice also that I'm running modded. I have Kerbal alarm clock installed, and that's because of the fact that we just have so much going on here. Well, anyway, I decided that we might as well attach these, we might as well use our jets while we have them. And that is, of course, because they barely use any fuel to begin with. This guy actually has enough Delta V that if I took the proper approach, I could get this guy up into orbit. As it really stands, that won't be necessary. But it is good to know we have the option. And so what I'll probably do with this is I will fast forward this, just because it is very slow. And I will probably, when I make this, I will probably do some commentary, maybe. But I want this part of the launch to at least be captured, just to show that I did go through the effort to do this. I'm also thinking I might want to launch another satellite, this time going towards the moon. And the idea with that is that when we move towards the moon here, you know, we're going to do all of this stuff by switching around. Certainly the first on the list here is this high Earth orbit satellite. And I think that will be useful to us. We're going to use that to collect some science. But for now, we just want to get this guy. Maybe around 8K I'll begin turning. Or so. We want to get this guy into a suitable suborbital trajectory. And we actually do want to go north just a little bit. Now we are going very slowly right now. And this guy is a little bit difficult to control. But that will not take too long for us to do. And before too long, these guys will run out of fuel. And we will ignite our engines. And there we go. Kind of a dangerous thing I did there. But we have to do it. And I'm actually going to raise our periapsis just a little bit. Not exactly the best deal here, but it's getting us over to where we need to be. And we do have to be a little bit careful here. There we go. And main engine cut off. There we go. Forgot to turn off my jet engines here. But, oh, thank you. Yeah, we're now in space. And as a result of that, we are able to skip forward just a little bit. Up to this incredibly high apoapsis here. We are a little bit north, actually more than a little bit north of where we need to be. But we will just come on down here. There's no point in getting a crew report, we've done it already. Joing seems to be fairly pleased with this. Or at least so it would seem. And I'm just going to maintain this guy up here. As we re-enter the atmosphere, we're going to have some effect from our control surfaces, not much. And you can see here our debris has moved away from us quite substantially. Well, we're now in the atmosphere, and I'm just going to glide over towards the sky. And hopefully that will change our trajectory. And I'm going to go into time acceleration mode here. Just so that we do expedite a little bit of our time. Chances are, in fact, I will just go ahead and speed up the video here so that you can more easily see it. But yeah, I'll see you here in a bit. So we'll just crank on the engines before too long. So we're now running this 16 times time acceleration, and this guy will actually move in a blur because, as it turns out, even though this was about 30 minutes worth of flight, this compresses down into a minute and 45 seconds. So we're on our way right now to Ronster's Glory, and that will be happening soon. It is kind of interesting to note, I guess, Joeing here, wigging out. And by the way, that happened, that dialogue happened because my laptop got unplugged, and I didn't really want to mess around with that, so I paused the game. Anyway, we got this crew report right about now, and we are now making our way up to Dalton Spirit, which is not taking too long. And we're doing this hard bank into zone YMJSG. Well, after this, we of course have to go to Gene's Spine, and I'm going to take the opportunity after it to land. We're actually pulling up this amount in order to take advantage of the lack of atmosphere. And then to land, instead of wheels, I've actually got parachutes for my landing gear instead, just to make this a little bit easier. So we will see you back at the VAB and get a lot of science out of it and a lot of cash. And we are back. So I don't know, I guess I didn't record the part of the video where we got the recovery. We got about 40% back from the plane. And of course, Joeing did not gain any science. But I'm actually more interested in something else right now. You see, we have a couple of things here we can do. Now, we could send down another Kerbal, but that isn't reliable yet. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this contract to position a satellite. And that actually is not as bad as it may seem. You might think, okay, well, we have to send 2 satellites, and that could be tricky, right? Except, maybe not. You see, as it turns out, as long as we accept this contract, then we will be able to get this guy up into orbit and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I've created a new satellite to meet this because, let me just go back to it real quick and show you that we have to have a number of things on there. We have to have mystery goo, thermometer, materials bay, and then of course we have to meet all the other things as well. And before we do that, let me just go here and show you what I've done. Let me just find this guy real quick. It's the Sat-2 is the name of it. 69 parts. I'm glad that we took the time to expand our science facilities, because otherwise this would be quite difficult. There's some things we have to do here. We have to go over here, for instance, to our command, or maybe it's our science. We have to unlock this guy, which incidentally has a cost of 0. I do have KER installed. I've had it installed for a while now, but I don't really use it for anything other than perhaps getting this vessel constructed. You can see we have a lot of Delta V, and that is simply because of the fact that I intend to do more in one mission. So let's go ahead and launch this guy. We are going to have to keep an eye on our apoapsis here, because this guy is a little bit underpowered. I'm going to set the moon as my target. We've all seen this before. I mean, it's nothing too huge. Stability assists, and we are stable in our inclination, it looks like. Let's go ahead and launch this guy. And let's get up to speed here. All in all, I expect with this that we'll make about 650,000 in profit. Not just with this, of course. This does make a good chunk of this, though. It's if we go here to our contracts here, there is that. And what we will do is just get this guy up to speed and get it into orbit, and then get us headed towards the moon. Now there's a lot of extra fuel here, some of which I'm not too terribly sure I need, but this is an expensive vehicle. I don't want to waste any fuel on the transfer burn at all. And I'm just going to go ahead and start turning over here. And we should be good for stage separation shortly. Again, I put those improved guys on there. This guy needs to catch up, unfortunately. And so we may have a little bit shallow of an entry. However, we don't really want this guy to begin falling back. At least not yet. And we want to get as much mileage out of this one stage here as we can. Something rather notable about the new KER is that we have a new heads-up display. And I am losing time to apoapsis, so I'm just going to try to gain that back. We are also somewhat inclined, so let's see if we can correct that. Lots of things for us to manage here. And this is part of the issue with having so many numbers, is that you tend to focus on one. So here, like, what'll usually happen is I'll focus on my inclination a little bit too much, and that will, of course, cause issues. You can see we're deviating from our inclination quite rapidly. And there we go. Main engine cut off. our inclination is more or less where we need it to be, so I'm just going to leave it there. We just want to maintain our time to apoapsis here. And we will probably be good with something along the lines of maybe 9 or 800 meters per second of delta V here. So when we get close to that point, I'm going to cut off the main engines. Our inclination looks quite good at this point. And I just want to raise our apsis just a little bit. There we go. It's not going to take us much to get into orbit at this rate. And with minimal inclination, it's not going to really take too much in order to correct for this minor deviation either. Now by leaving, I don't know, about 900 or so in reserve, we have the option to do a number of things. One of them being that we can get on up here and just burn straight for the moon. Or not for the moon, rather. We're going to orbit first. There we go. 909 meters of delta V is not, or meters per second rather, of delta V isn't too terribly bad. It should remind you of the drum machine, the TR-909. You know, this is somewhat off topic, but there actually is a really interesting story about the... Oh, there's 860 right there. I'm actually going to do like that, so we can discard that second stage. The TB303 is sort of the workhorse of house and techno music, and it turns out that by the time it became popular, that it was almost sort of an antique, because you see, it was back in 1984 whenever Roland just could not reach their target audience with this. And so they decided, well, nobody's buying it, we'll cancel the TB303. It was released like 2 years earlier. And maybe between 6 months to maybe close to a year later, some house composer got the bright idea to plug in a distortion pedal into it, and because they had just discontinued it, you know, they hadn't heard about it, and yeah, anyway, what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm not gonna make it exact. I'm gonna burn like this. And, okay, what's going on here? I've waited a little bit too long. I hit the Z key instead of... Oh, I don't know, C. So yeah, we are now en route. One thing I'm going to do here, we need a reserve battery, so I'm going to get us one of those because it is mighty irritating to run out of juice when you're about to make a burn. And we are now going to get this settled real quick. Should be just enough juice in the transfer stage to correct for this, I hope. It's not going to be the most optimal encounter that we're going to have, but that doesn't matter. We just want to put this guy on a crash course. In fact, this is what the Apollo stages did with their transfer stages. They put them on a crash course with the moon as well. And so, we are almost there. Let me just make sure that we reach this one deal here. And there we go. Just enough for us to be on a crash course. And I'm gonna push that thing on towards the moon. Let's stage real quick. We're still on our crash course, which is really quite excellent news, but we need to... Actually, that periapsis is good. That worked out remarkably well. So I'm going to simply go ahead and add... Oh, I don't know. I'm going to add an SOI alarm, because this isn't the only thing I have for y'all. As it turns out, we do have another deal that we are going to launch. And we can do that by going to the Space Center and getting these guys on their way. Now, we've already lost a little bit of our stuff here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go launch a second vehicle here. That vehicle is the MP2. And this is going to take care of the temperature scans, which need to be in a particular orbit. We actually, had I thought about this, we could have done a number of things with this, which largely include not sending that satellite, although I don't mind sending that satellite for sure. We will recover it. Let's target Minmus, and what I'm going to do here is going to head back here. We got our nav ball up. Let's just go ahead and launch. And this guy has about 4,000 meters per second of delta V in it. But we also have a transfer stage as well. And what we're going to do now is just wait until we get up to apoapsis here. Not apoapsis, 10K. So that shouldn't take too terribly long. This is more or less... it's a pretty fast rocket. I don't have a gimbaling engine on it, so we do get more power out of it. It's time for us to just go ahead and turn over, I think. And we will adjust our inclination very, very slightly while we're doing this. You can see, however, that we are getting up to orbit relatively quickly with this guy. And we're actually in a pretty good spot for this. I mean, 5 degrees inclination is not bad at all. We can, of course, correct for the remainder here. But I think... Oh, there we go. Main stage cut off. We still got plenty of Delta V here, nonetheless. Enough for us to... Enough for us to reach, I guess, our desired... apsis here. And yeah, we're... It's going to be a pretty close deal here, I think. Have we reached... I think we've reached close to a minimum here. There we go. I think this is enough for now. That we could correct inclination very easily here. I see no reason for us not to. Now, I'm not really going to bother with circularizing here, because, you know, it seems as though, in the grand scheme of things, it's just not worth doing. However, I will reserve one of these batteries here. I mean, it's not a very circular orbit at this point, but who cares? Not I. There we go. Now we just have to get in line with Minmus here. That shouldn't really take us too long. Periapsis is still actually quite high. Let's go with that so we can ditch this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these guys up here so they don't fire at the end. We would have lost them anyhow, because they would have crashed into the Minmus surface along with us, or along with that spent stage. But we need to burn for about 30 seconds or so. And we'll just add a maneuver node whenever we get close. So I'm going to, really, I think doing SOI change would be better here. And we'll get these guys into their proper place here. At any rate, that shouldn't take too long. And let's just wait for our cutout. In fact, let's just target Minmus here real quick, or focus it. Oop. We still have 107 meters of delta V here. Now where is our entrance here? Well, you know what, I think if I can't find this entrance, I'm just going to be good with, or good for it, rather. Just getting this guy to intersect is... You know, I bet you I need to zoom out. That's what the issue is. Okay, I mean that. This is beginning to irritate me a little bit. We need to get this closest approach vector lined up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this part here is the more bothersome part because I think though that we're okay. That is a Kerbin apoapsis. Now, if I could only oh, you know what, whatever. I think we're crashing. I guess I will just leave this guy attached for now. And see. And we'll leave this guy pointing towards the sun at least. Let's go ahead and switch over to this guy here. At least so that we can get him in orbit. Because after this SOI change, then we're, well, that is a little bit befuddling. ISL looks like it's going to be next. Let's go to that instead. Everything does seem to be a little bit out of order right now. I think maybe we will make this change here when we reach Apsis. Let's go ahead, since we're far enough over here. Let's just get these guys lined up. And the next thing for us to do here, I think that's good enough. The next thing for us to do is to, of course, hit this descending node. Now, I wonder, no, there's no way for us to, at least right now, get this set up the way we want to, but will give us some time before we get to the descending node in order to make this change. This is... well, that would explain it. Oops, let's not do that. I think this guy here is the descending node. Now in terms of... I guess in terms of our actual inclination will be good. Tellurian... oh, that's us. Let's just... we'll do this. We will set this for maybe 15 minutes so that we can more accurately determine this. At least get closer into our node here. And let's get to Sat 2. That's in 2 days. Now, we're still pretty close to SOI here. And for this guy, I'm beginning to think maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea. Oh, this is not good. I have the wrong SOI here. Well, let's at least get this guy curved around like so. It looks like we have enough time, at least, to do something about this. And we're far out to where we could make a large enough inclination change, I think. So let's get out to apoapsis here, because we really should. It would not be good for us, at least at this time. Even though we're 10 minutes out, you know what? Let's just leave it like that for now. And let's find, I think... this will be... that looks about right. I can't You know, we are so far out at this point that I can't really say what is correct anymore. Yeah, I think let's give that a shot. And there we go. Still quite inclined at this time. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get this done. And I'm thinking, why don't we just pull in this apoapsis just a little bit? In fact, I'll tell you why. Because we actually have a small change to make here in 2 hours. And we don't want to miss any of these windows here. Oh, now here's an interesting problem I had not thought about. I believe that we have not actually put in our little maneuver node here. Just let me take a look real quick. Yeah, it looks like maybe... Oh, polar stuff. That might be kind of fun to do. Not that we could readily do it right now. Still several days out. Let me just add in the periapsis crossing here. There we go. Let's return back to Sat 2. I knew I was forgetting something. And let's just get as close by as we can get to that. There we go. We are now... We're going to be properly inclined now, I think. But we need to pull our orbit in just a little bit. If I could find a marker for this. We have an inclination of 3 degrees. And now really it's just a matter of us, I'm gonna get our periapsis out to the proper place, I think. But I think, given our inclination, we're going to be okay. And, on top of that, we still have several hours here. Now, maybe even better, we gotta adjust this periapsis some. But, yeah, let's get this guy set up. Okay, we're more than close enough. Let's get our apoapsis, or our periapsis, up to the proper place. And maybe here, we'll just rotate this guy along here, like that. Oh, no, 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 don't do that. Oh, let's see. Yes, I'm aware of the fact that this is more than slightly more than suboptimal. But we have 5 hours there. And this has several minutes. Warp to the maneuver node. No, 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 stop it, stop it! Okay, let's do this the proper way. There we go. How are we doing on power? We're doing okay still. But, yeah, let's get these guys lined up. Like so. And let's get this massive inclination change here. Because this is likely to be the most expensive part of the, I'm thinking it's going to be the most expensive part of the burn. Now I'm thinking we just are not nearly close enough. We have another maneuver, by the way. We're going to have the entrance of one of our first satellites. And there we go. This looks to be... it's right here. Let's just zoom out and see what that is doing to our apsis. Okay. Well, that is, I think, close enough for now. What are we doing on our fuel? We are almost out. And let me just fix this real quick. This is another nice thing about having an alarm here. At any rate, we are now so heavily inclined that we now will have a maneuver here that we will have to worry about. That'll be in another 5 hours or so. But actually, you know what? That would be perfect right there. We just need to make sure that these guys match up as much as we can get them to. Can we get this down to... Okay, that's a little bit too much. Right there. There we go. That is... almost perfect. Okay, let's add the maneuver for this. That'll be in another 4 hours. Let's take care of this guy here. And we are actually pretty close. Oh, we've managed to disable everything somehow. Somehow the game has decided not to show me anything. I guess I really should be paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Now let's go back to this guy who's coming up and get him captured real quick. In fact, we'll just go ahead, we'll delete this guy. We are now at SOI. We have a maneuver coming up soon. And we just have a minute or so in there. let's first get this guy brought in here. There's no sense in not getting this guy roped in. Now, no telling how long that will take. Another 2 hours. Lots of jumping around to be done here. Let's see. We'll just get rid of this guy here. $40 minutes to our other change here. And we have a 26-second burn, so I'm going to burn at 13. So let's just get this guy rotated over here. And all that will really be necessary after that there we go. It's for us to adjust our periapsis as such in the next 23 minutes. This is going to be close, I think. And we're on the mark, really, for this, so I'm just going to get this guy taken care of. And we will soon get into orbit here. And there we go. Maybe a little bit too low. There we go. That contract is now fulfilled. Now, I'm not really going to be able to do much here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put another maneuver in. That's in another hour. We're going to see to it that we have time to work on this, so that this other satellite here can get into orbit. Let's see, this guy here is really, really close to being to where we want it to be. We just have to get this set up properly for us. And I am going to begin our burn here. Using RCS, of course, because we have nothing else. So getting this rotation done is actually pretty important. There we go. Now all we have to do in order to get this guy truly lined up. You know, I'm thinking... Okay, close that alarm, please. Let's get... Ooh, that is not quite what I wanted to do there. Let's just set this up for another day or so. And then Moonlight will be coming in. But for now we have Sat 1 and S2. And that is going to be set up like so. We at least want this guy captured before I end the episode, I think. But let's at least work under the knowledge that we have several days left for us to work on this. We just want to get these guys into orbit, that's all. And we are now circular, it looks like. We'll just leave it there. And, yeah, that'll be it for now. I think maybe the next thing for us to do is to come up here. Adjust our ascending node. So that we are edge on with this guy. Or thereabout. I'm just going to put another target here. And that'll be in 1 day, 2 hours. So a lot going on. For the next episode, it looks like we will have the Talarian, or the OS4 Talarian rather. We will be getting it set up for its final preparations. We will be looking at this satellite in particular 2 hours later, and then we are going to receive the Moonlight and the MP2 very close afterwards. So before I leave, let's just take a look at contracts real quick, because contracts are fairly important at this point. We do want more of them, if we can. Synchronous orbit. We already launched the vessel, but look at that. That is... Something tells me that that is not entirely possible, because there's not supposed to be any synchronous orbit above Minmus. But I'm not going to let that stop me. That is a fair amount of money to have. Science data around Minmus would be good too, because we actually... Well, let's see, how many days do we have on this contract? I think we have more than enough. We have 5 days here. And with the MP2 coming, that should be easy enough to afford. So I'm going to do that for now. And until then, this has been Thy Lord Root, and I will see you later.